So let's talk about the history of propaganda. Propaganda has been around since the cave days, when the caveman used to paint paintings on the wall in order to propagate messages. They painted a tiger, letting their fellows know that there may be danger out there. Painted maybe some cows, let them know there's food. So these messages needed to be propagated, and they had a limited communication skill, and they had limited ways of communicating. So this was an effective way to propagate a message without having to do it over and over again. Now you put it there, and anyone walking through there sees a tiger painted on that wall, maybe they'll be careful. That's where propaganda started really taking shape. And as history went on, propaganda didn't really become really modern until it was really officially something recognized as a department. The Catholic Church, Pope Gregory, back in the 1600s, he created what it was the Congregations for the Propagation of the Faith. This department of the Catholic Church was used to propagate the Word of God, the Bible, whatever their beliefs were at the time. They wanted to propagate these. So they actually made an official department that was meant to look for ways, ideas to spread this word to the world. That's where propaganda first got its first official department, like a recognition from a huge establishment. But propaganda, even before then, was being used by the common shops, the signs outside the shop, the all of that is propaganda. Any kind of messaging is propaganda. It's gotten a bad rap. It's gotten a bad word status because it's been misused. But really, propaganda has just been part of history. It's part of our survival. It's part of who we are and why we became who we are and how we live today is because of propaganda. As history moved on from, the Catholic Church and the Crusades and all of that, huge propaganda campaigns were out there. Other countries, that was in Rome, but in other countries, China, the emperors used a propaganda. Sometimes it never needed to be a sign or something like a messaging that was static. Sometimes a person can propagate the word. So sometimes you have propagandists that will go on behalf of the kings or the emperors and will propagate the word of the king or whatever message needed to be out there. It could be as simple as, hey, everyone, there's going to be a feast or tomorrow at sundown, as manipulative as there's a monster in the woods. No one go there because you will get eaten. So fear and all of that were part of propaganda from early on. As we moved on, propaganda became really heavy, during the war, the Germany war, where it was just horribly misused to to influence a big part of a population of people to believe certain things about other people. And I think that the history is very clear on how the misuse of this propaganda was, where to the point where Hitler was having to, he had films that he would commission to make Jewish people look bad. It was a bad time in history because people were really blindsided by how effective these subliminal messages can get into the system. Then later on, after that war, propaganda didn't end there. Actually, it got stronger. It got probably more stealth. It got more secretive. It got more manipulative. And to think that the war ended propaganda is really the biggest ignorance anyone can think. It made it stronger to the point where the United States and Russia, now moving into that segment of the period of history, they started doing propaganda against each other. That was, during the Cold War, and all these posters and patriotism and all of these things came into light. You needed people to enlist in the army. So, the famous, poster pointing, on you. And Same thing in Russia. It had its own posters, and at the time, television was not around, so a lot of these posters were the entertainment and the television of the times. Then television came into play. Now propaganda just really took off, where now you could have shows, commercials, all of these things inside people's homes. People did not have to be out in public to get these propaganda messages. Now you literally could program them right into people's homes. And it's been that way ever since. Now we understand how today social media, the biggest propaganda machine that I think we've had in history, is just so powerful, where all these messages, conflicting messages, misinformation, disinformation, wrong information, all of these things are mixed in, and the population is just absolutely confused. But they don't even know they're confused. They just go on about their day, getting bombarded with 200 million ads per second, different information, shows, influencers, all these people giving information. Some countries are even in control of the social media platforms, and they give the information that they want the public to know. So the public does not even know reality from what's being propagated. They have to believe what they see, but they have no proof except that someone through social media, through a screen, is telling them, hey, this is the way to act. This is what's happening. This is what you need. You don't need that. You need this. If you don't do this, this would happen. All of this without leaving even your bed. Propaganda throughout history has gotten so powerful that people that misuse propaganda, or just people that use propaganda, are the ones that say propaganda is bad, even though they're using it. So they are giving you propaganda about propaganda being bad as they're using it. Propaganda is not as effective when you know what it is. If the population understands that these messages are meant to influence them, and they're meant for them to take a certain action, then it's not as effective as if it just catches them off guard. And you getting this information, you don't know what to believe, or you just end up believing it right off the bat because the source that it's coming from is the source that you believe is correct or trustworthy. Then there's no way to going back on that. That's the reason that political campaigns have gotten so dirty. Political campaigns, both sides have extreme views because the propaganda has gotten really out of control, or has gotten really, really in a very, very small control of a niche group of people that are moving and shaking the pieces and giving you information and bombarding you with information that's correct and incorrect at the same time. Now you don't know what to do. You don't know what to believe. So you just sit back and wait for this information to take place. The reason we know hurricanes are coming is because someone tells us. We're not out to sea, seeing the hurricane forming, and we now know firsthand that the hurricane's coming. So there are information platforms that tells you, hey, there's a hurricane coming. You should probably take cover. It can even tell you how big the hurricane is and where it's going to impact. And we rely on this information for our survival. However, just like we rely on that information for our survival, there are other sources of information that we rely on for our survival that are not giving us the correct information, and we have no idea. And our society is deteriorating because of it. So understanding the history of where propaganda comes from, where it's going, artificial intelligence, probably if social media right now is the biggest propaganda machine we've had in history, artificial intelligence will be the mother of that. Artificial intelligence is a propaganda machine that can create messaging instantly and nonstop forever. So now you will have so much information at your fingertips, and you just will never, ever be able to tell what's correct and what is not, unless you have that first-hand account of that information where you're the one that is seeing the information. You will never be able to know what's fact, what's fiction. Eventually, the line will be so blurry that people will begin to see the misinformation as real. And someone says, hey, there's a monster behind you. And I'm going to be able to see that monster. So propaganda is taking this into a whole new place. The people that understand propaganda, that use it, are the ones that will benefit from this. The people that choose to be ignorant of it because it's a bad thing are the ones that will be the most harmed by it. Businesses benefit from propaganda. Obviously, you have a product, you have a service, and you propagate the word in the correct way, you will get customers, you will get clients, people will purchase and patronize your business. However, the businesses that don't understand how this works and they stay behind, they're the ones that these big businesses will eat up. That's the reason that Walmart can come into a neighborhood. It can come into a community and take out all the mom and pop shops that are there because they are great at propagating their services, their products, their stores. Just the big building with the big Walmart lit up, it's a propaganda campaign right in that neighborhood. How can you miss it? From any corner, you can see that Walmart, where the mom and pop shop in the middle of two other small shops does not have the visibility that a Walmart has. So people blame Walmart, saying, hey, they're coming here into our community and displacing these small businesses. The fact is that the small businesses could do a lot more to get the visibility, except that, they're a lot of times, unfortunately, the small businesses are stuck in traditional ways of propagating the word. They don't understand how propaganda now is not about a commercial or a billboard. Propaganda could be someone that's trustworthy saying, this is good. And now you have followers of that person, entity, or influencer saying the same thing and propagating the word. Walmart, with their pricing, with their how big they become so quickly, like the big store, stocked with everything you can think of, cheap prices, it's hard to compete with that. Now, small businesses say, well, I can't compete with that. And just saying that, you're propagating that Walmart is better. So small businesses, I believe, give up very quickly. There's been communities where they have stopped Walmart from coming in and doing this. That's one way. But a propaganda campaign goes for Walmart's favor and against Walmart's favor. So understanding history and how Walmart became so big, so fast, so quick, Walmart, low prices. That was their slogan for a while. How can you compete with that? If your slogan is, hey, I'm a small business, support me. When people are short of money throughout history, they will do what's right for their pocket. You can look at history, that's just the way it is. So quality is for the good times. Low prices are for everyday times. So just that's not much to do with the history itself, but for you to understand how propaganda is not just messaging, posters, commercials, or that word. Sometimes just building that big building in the middle of somewhere. You're propagating more attention than 10,000 commercials. So until there, I will leave it there with the history. One day we'll go deeper into each segment of history. We will go into the caveman and some examples on how the caveman used propaganda and began the whole entire propaganda communication system. Then, we can probably move into the periods of the Catholic Church, the Cold War, the different wars. Every war comes very hard with a propaganda campaign. So until next time, make sure you subscribe, I'm super passionate about propaganda. I'm passionate about educating myself about what it is and what it's not. I like to know that propaganda messages are coming my way because I don't want to fall victim to negative propaganda that can affect me, my family, or the people around me. I hope you do the same. I hope you educate yourself about it. It's not a bad word. It's not a bad thing. It's a tool that could be used or misused. It's a knife. So you can use a knife to kill someone, or you can use a knife to cut some food and some vegetables and cook a nice a plate of food. It's up to you. Then propaganda is the knife. You can use it for harm. You can use it for good. So until next time,